I don't know if you can still see it. We're gonna have to log into it to see it. But you're live.
Oh, it's still thinking.
Now you're live.
Good morning. This glare.
You can actually move this over here if you want to get the laptop out the way, or do you want to see some of the comments and stuff?
Oh, I like to see the comments.
You just don't like to see the number of viewers.
No.
Get posted.
Good morning. I got my natural skin glow going this morning. Thank God for good skincare. Come through. Good morning, Yolanda. Good morning, Miss Verlin. Good morning. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to come in so we can go in. We're on time, live, and in color today. I didn't have to swim to come in. Yesterday, I was literally swimming in here. It was pouring rain. Pouring. Good morning. I was trying to literally move stuff like off the desk because this camera shows everything on the desk. So I'm like moving stuff over so if y'all can see the true organized chaos of this desk. The true organized chaos of this desk. Good morning, morning, morning. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started because that hour goes by so fast. I do want my phone though. Can I have my phone? I think it's my bag. Will you hand it to me out my bag? I'm sorry. I should have had my phone before I pressed go. But I wanted to just remind you guys too, and I'll make sure I do this throughout the middle too, so just in case anybody catches it after we get going. So I am so excited. If you have a business, if you are in business for yourself, but not by yourself, whether that means you're a part of a networking business of some type, or if you simply have a small business that you're starting or that you're wanting to get started, you definitely want to be at Saturday's class. Saturday, we're doing a virtual class. It's called the MLM Masterclass. It's $33. And literally, for several hours, we're going to go over the details of how to make sure your plans are in order, of what you're looking at to making sure you're ready to being able to manifest and just do everything you need to rock out in business. Because oftentimes in business, thank you. Oftentimes in business, we just simply don't really know. When you don't know how to proceed forward. You don't know exactly what next steps to take. It's like you have this huge vision, but how do you get there? You have this huge vision, but how do you set things up? I'm ready to go and try to get bank financing. What does that look like? We're going to talk about all of that, and we're going to talk about it from a biblical aspect. I know several people, even Miss Verlin, hosted her own PCI, the Pink Cadillac Intensive training a couple weeks ago, and it was so awesome. But even we weren't able to cover a lot of the information simply because there's so many different moving parts that we just want to take the time to break it down. So on Saturday is going to be one of the first trainings that we do virtually, and we are going to break down in detail how do you go about organizing your time every single day to make sure that you are maximizing your time, because your time is your highest commodity. And then how do you go about juggling multiple visions? How do you go about juggling working a job and at the same time trying to start a new business? What are some practical tips to do that? So we're going to go through all of those things, and then also even talk about the SBA, what's out there for SBA funding right now. So if you're starting a brand new business during COVID, do you qualify for SBA financing? Yes, there is financing still out there. There is different things that you can still access in through the Small Business Administration, whether you have an existing business or you have a business that is that you're in the process of starting. So definitely come be a part of that. If you're in a network marketing, I know I said this again, but even with network marketing, there's SBA funding for network marketing. So if you have a business like Mary Kay, if you have a business like Paparazzi or Melaleuca, any type of business that you have, you can literally come to this class on Saturday virtually and be able to gain the information that you need to take it to the next level. If you know somebody if you know somebody that is frustrated with their business, or they've let their network business sit to the side and they haven't taken the time to really work it, it could simply be because they haven't put systems in place, and we're going to talk about those systems. So I'm excited about that. So if you haven't registered already, make sure you register. We are going to cut off registration once we get to a certain number. I have no idea where we are on that number. I'll know better in the morning. But make sure you go and register and today, and we'll also put the link inside of the live today. So getting started, we're talking about Jabez, about the prayer of Jabez. And I love this story. This story is so the truth to me, just simply because it resonates with me. It resonates with me so heavy because I love how Jabez, literally, it says that he was born in pain so much that his mother named him Jabez. So I'm going to read First Chronicles 1:4. And it's First Chronicles 4:10. I'm going to read verse 10. And Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, "Oh, that you wouldest bless me indeed." I'm doing the King James Version. "And enlarge my coast, and that thine hand might be with me, and that thou wouldest keep me from evil, and that it may not grieve me." And God granted him that which he requested. So I love that in the different versions of this prayer of Jabez, that it literally like breaks down on a different phrase, because I know in different versions they are translating, some of them are translating from Greek, some are translating from Hebrew. Hebrew was the original language. So that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy the the amplified, because it's translated from the Hebrew version. But and we can go over and even read it in the Hebrew version, or in the amplified version. And it says, Jabez cried out to the God of Israel, saying, "Oh, that you would indeed bless me and enlarge my border, my property, and that your hand will be with me, and you would keep me from evil so that it does not hurt me." And God granted his request. So just for a second, just slowing down for a second and just taking a deep breath and really taking in everything and really thinking about and just coming to a place of center, coming to a place of concrete center. Because right now, we literally, and I feel this so heavily because I know this is what's happening in my life right now. We really are in a place where you have a choice. You can go right or you can go left. It's like we're sitting, if you can imagine with me, we're sitting in a crossroad. We're sitting in a place where we're smack dab in the center, and we're so close. We're so close to the things that we're believing God for. We're so close to these things manifesting. We're so close, like I can smell it. I can see it. I can reach out and almost touch it. I'm so close. I'm so close to seeing it happen. But in the midst of being so close, there's still this old me that's pulling, that's saying, that's not real. That's pulling, that's saying, is God really going to do that for you? Is that really what you're supposed to be doing? It's like this. It's like these two things, the angel and the devil on the shoulder type situation, where you got both of them talking to you, and you got to decide who you're going to listen to. I can just imagine that Jabez was very torn and complex, just even listening to his prayer, because he cried out to God, "Bless me." And then and in the same breath saying, oh, that you would bless me indeed. Hey, and give me more, enlarge my territory. And then also bless me, give me more, enlarge my territory, and allow your hand to be with me. Because in me by myself, with me rocking this out, with me figuring this out, with me really learning how to be aligned and learning how to trust you, God, with me walking in that, I need your hand to be with me. I need to physically know that you're with me. I need to have your sincere understanding. I need to have the sincere understanding that you are with me through all of this. Because it feels like I'm so close, but yet I'm nervous. Yet there's a nervousness. If I can just talk real for a minute, because I know so many times I sit up and I listen to people, and I'm even in listening to different people talk and teach about different techniques and things, and I'm always listening to teachings, and sometimes I have to just turn stuff off because I'm like, I wonder if I'm the only one that's experiencing the weakness of thinking, God, really, are you sure you want me? That it's not every day. It's going back and forth with the, are you concrete that it's me you're calling? Are you concrete that it's me you want to do this? This thing is so huge. My territory is so big. And it really, in talking about that and really just bringing that to light and really just talking about that so transparently, I want to say that, and I want to bring that up because I want you to know that you're not alone in thinking like that. And we have to have, coping techniques, and we have to have a plan in place to be able to conquer those thoughts. Because if we don't, we're sitting in a crossroads right now. And God is literally, the door is open. The wealth transfer is happening. All the ladies is believing for pink Cadillacs. The pink Cadillac is already yours. The building is already built. Everything is already done. In that box that we talked about with the prayer of Jabez, with the book Bruce Wilkinson wrote, in that box, everything that you desire is already yours. And you have a decision to make. And you have to make that decision every single day when your feet hit the floor. You have to make the decision that you are going to believe that it's yours, despite when the enemy is fighting me. And that's so an everyday process. That's why it says our daily bread. That's why his mercies are new every morning. That's why his grace is sufficient, because literally we have to stay in a mindset and fight for our abilities every single day. We have to make a decision when our feet hit the floor every single day that I'm gonna stay focused, that I believe. And what are some coping techniques? So let me tell you a new one that God gave me yesterday, because I'm in the process of getting prepared for a tour. And I can tell you guys about this, even in the midst of COVID, God told me to do it. So I'm choosing obedience. And it's not something that is a small task. This is huge. This is going state to state, talking to people, ministering to people, and even in the process, helping people with business, dealing with real estate. We're going state to state, me and my team. And even in the process of building all of that, that vision feels so huge. And it's so much bigger than me. And it's so much bigger than even the concept that, and God has to remind me, you can't even enter into your heart the things that I have prepared for you. You can't even begin to fathom all the things that I've done just from you choosing obedience. So he gave me a new coping technique yesterday, and I'm so excited to share it with you. He told me the same way. So in Hebrews 11, that we call it the faith chapter, or the faith, the faith strength chapter, because it gives all of these examples of Moses and Abraham that Abram became Abraham, and the faith that he hoped against hope. And it goes through all these different heroes in the Bible and all these different examples of heroes and how they did it and the things that they did. And so what God told me to start doing, he said, every time you hear of somebody that is doing something similar to the things that God is calling you to do, write it down, research their story. He said, because I'm not a respecter of person, baby. If I did it for them, I will do it for you. So one of my newer coping techniques is, instead of sitting back and allowing the enemy to draw me into any kind of crazy jealousy or any kind of, oh, God did that for them, when is it going to be my turn? Instead, I can look and say, they were able to do a successful tour. Let me write down let me research what obstacles did they have to overcome. Wow, they overcame that obstacle. If God did it for them, I know he'll do it for me. And it's bringing it back to the remembrance and telling God, listen, you told me you're no respecter of person. So if you allow them to be successful, surely you got me. And that left me I felt so encouraged last night when I started reading about the different obstacles. And even I've been reading again, or listening, not doing it on Audible, listening to Becoming by Michelle Obama, and how she talks about the different obstacles that she had to overcome in herself, the different obstacles about not allowing the opinions of other people to curtail and keep molding her opinion of herself and her opinion of what her and her husband sat in that White House to accomplish. And even in listening to that again, I'm thinking to myself, God, if you did it for her, if you did it for their family, then surely you'll do it for me. Surely you'll be able to help me overcome opinions. Surely you will allow me to have the support and the platform laid that I'll be strong enough to stand even in the midst of crazy. So one of the newer, so I encourage you, use that technique. Use that technique. Anybody, when you start to feel for any type of reason that there's a jealousy there, or that, that literally is a thing that you can learn to be grateful for when you come into that place, because that's just showing you that's something that I desire. That's something that I want. And if God did it for them, he will do it for me. So that's one more way for me to be able to be guided into a place of alignment. Because the true work, the Bible says faith without works is dead, right? Faith without works is dead is what the Bible says. Faith without works is dead. Okay. What are the works? There's plural. What are the works? I truly believe the core work that we have as people that are followers of Christ, that we have as the conduit of God's power to flow through, the core work is to stay aligned, to stay in alignment with our purpose, to stay in alignment with ourselves, to stay in alignment with God. That is the core work. That is the core. Our core muscle is what holds together our frame. And what I love is how the rib cage is what protects all the internal organs. It's one of the things that helps hold up and hold together the frame. And all of that happening with the core muscles, with the core ability, is what keeps it all aligned up. And so our core work, the most important thing we can do is to stay aligned. And by staying aligned, making sure we're protecting our peace. By staying aligned, making sure that we're protecting our identity. Because every day when you choose to turn on that television and you begin to watch TV and you're watching Desperate Housewives, or you're watching, is that show? Maybe I said it wrong. The reality shows. You're watching all these different shows, basketball wise. I don't know. I don't watch TV, but you're watching all these different shows, right? Or my joint used to be Grey's Anatomy. I haven't had time to watch it in forever, but I used to love Grey's Anatomy. And what I found is I have to even be cautious, especially in a season like this, especially in a season where you're giving birth to things. You have to be cautious about what you're allowing into your eye gates and into your ear gates. You have to be very wise. Be wise about what you're allowing into your ear gates. Be wise about what you're allowing into your eye gates, because you are formulating from your identity. And oftentimes the things that we are seeing and giving our attention to is formulating our identity. It is formulating us to understand who we are. So you be very wise. Be very wise as what you are allowing yourself to hear, what you are allowing yourself to see, what you are allowing yourself to believe. Because all of that will form together. As a man thinketh, so is he. Whatever you are thinking about, and if you're watching that and whatever you're thinking about, that is what you're becoming. Whatever you're watching, that is what you're becoming. So we have to use wisdom. We have to use wisdom and be ye separate for this season, for this time. It won't look. This is the thing. We go through seasons, just like there's a time and a season, is what it says in Ecclesiastics. There's a time and a season for everything under the sun. There is a time and a season for everything. In the season right now, in the season that we are in right now, where God is literally allowing massive change to take place in our lives. Everything that we know it 6 months ago is not the same. Everything has changed. The NASDAQ, the economy, everything has changed. Nothing is the same from even 6 months ago. So we got to see the time and the dispensation that we're sitting in, that we're standing in, that we're living and operating in. We are in a season in 2020, which represents a year of clarity. We're in a season where God is literally, it's open heaven. It's an open door. And you want to stay aligned to be able to receive it. You want to stay aligned. So if we're in looking at the example of Jabez, yes, Jabez was, I can imagine him being shaky even with this prayer. Listen to what he said. He's telling God, he's like literally saying, God, keep your hand with me. Yeah, okay, so I can see him being bold with the first part. Bless me indeed. He's crying out to God, bless me indeed, and enlarge my territory. God, give me more. Allow me to be able to minister to the nations, if that's what you're calling me to do, and being bold in it. And I want to be bold, and I want to do it the way you want me to do it. And I want to open this business and be able to serve all these customers and be able to handle all this stuff. And I want my ministry to be authentic. I want it to be that we truly serve you, that you are told throughout the streets and rung all over the world that you are God. I want that. And then he says, and allow your hand to be with me. I can see him like coming back down to slightly out of alignment for a second. God, let your hand be with me. Make sure you keep me covered through the process. And even as you're keeping me covered through the process, make sure that I'm not grieving, that I'm not causing any grief, or even in the process of causing any grief, that I'm not being grieved, that I'm not causing any grief or being grieved. So even as he's asking for a larger border, as you're asking for God, we constantly stay asking. We constantly are asking. God, do this. God, do that. God, do this. You tell us in your word. We've even gotten savvy enough in prayer that we give him back his word. We've gotten savvy enough that we understand that prayer is a legal activity, and when we go into prayer, we go into prayer prepared. We've even gotten savvy enough to understand our thoughts need to be aligned with God's thoughts. We've gotten savvy enough. We've even gotten savvy enough to recognize when we don't feel good, we need to get our feelings in alignment. We're paying attention to our feelings. All of these things are coming together, and we're asking, and he's expanding and providing. Every time we ask, we receive. His answer is always yay and amen. And so he's saying yes, he's saying amen. And as he's saying yes and he's saying amen, we still have moments where it's like, God, allow your hand to be with me and keep me from harm. Keep me that I won't cause or experience any pain. Be prepared. Be prepared for those moments. Be prepared. Already be mentally ready, because this is the number one mistake that a lot of businesses make. It's the number one mistake that we make as we are kingdom citizens, as we are a part of the royal priesthood, and we have a responsibility to stand and operate in the royal priesthood. As we are there and we're operating and we're standing, we have to understand we need to stay prepared. Stay prepared for the days when you're having to, when it feels like you're barely making it. What do you do on those days? So you're high one day and everything is great and everything is beautiful. What do you do the next day? When it's not like that, you have to be wise. The Bible even says, be wise as a serpent. Be wise. Use wisdom and preparation, that you are ready for those moments. That you already have a plan in place of how you're going to rock it out in those moments. We have to use wisdom, because as we're preparing to walk into our territory, as we've already received our territory, we've received it and it's manifesting. We are seeing it manifest every day. As we are seeing it unfold before us, we have to stay prepared. And even understanding, they say all the time, I heard people say this, and y'all have heard me say this before. Money doesn't change people. It just reveals the true person that they are. Right? So God allows currency to flow through us. He allows us to gain wealth. And he blesses our hands to prosper, and he allows us to gain wealth. And even him allowing us to gain wealth, and him allowing us to be able to have these finances to flow through, and all these things that, he's allowing it to come into our bosom. We give, and he's given back unto us, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. He's causing men to give into our bosom, right? All of these things are happening and they're manifesting. Do we have the character to uphold the currency? Do we have the character to maintain the title? That as God elevates us, do we have the character to not allow the opinion of the naysayers to change the vision? Do we have the character to decide, for God I live and for God I die? Do we have the character to say that? Do we have the character to mean that? Do we have the character to be the same person behind the scenes that we are in the front lines? We need to be prepared. We need to allow God to create in us the areas where things are still rough for you. I guarantee you is an area that God is shaping your character. because he's giving you grace by not allowing everything that you're praying for to come at one split of a second, because he needs to make sure that you have the character to maintain it. As much as I desired to be wealthy, whenever I was younger, whenever I was in my 20s, in and out of incarceration, trying to do everything that wasn't right, making every wrong decision I could possibly make, I did not have the character to maintain the position that God has placed me in today. Today I've been through some things. Today I'm like one of the most non-judgmental people, because I don't want to be judged. Today, I'm able to walk in love behind closed doors, in front of a camera, behind a camera, because God is developing, and it's still areas where he's developing character in me. And when I'm challenged by things, when things are knocking me upside my head, when the truth is popping me in my face, it's because God is allowing character to be developed. So that when he hangs his glory, because we got to understand something. Glory literally in Hebrew means weight. It's heavy. And when you carry the glory of God, when you carry his glory, and because you're choosing obedience, so you're choosing to walk into your territory and obtain your territory and go in and do all the things that God is calling you to do, and go in and operate in all the ways that God is calling you to operate. You're going in and you're obtaining your territory, and you're walking it out, and you're rocking it out the way God is calling you to do, and you're doing all of these things that he's calling you to do. You're choosing obedience. When he says get up at 5 a.m. and pray, you get up at 5 a.m. knowing that it represents grace. When you're believing for completion at 7 every day, at 7, you're making sure you pray for completion. You're choosing obedience in so many areas. And every time you take a step of obedience, he takes a step of adding his glory. You take a step of obedience, he takes a step of adding his glory. And his glory represents weight. So you got to make sure that your foundation is a sure foundation built on the rock, so that the glory of God will have a character to hang on. That'll be anchored. It'll be anchored in a character that nobody will ever be able to say, man, she was a completely different person behind the scenes. I get she acted like that up front, but when I met her behind the scenes, that was a totally different person. I'm even so careful that I make sure I treat my waiters with the utmost respect. I want to leave that restaurant with them having just as pleasant of an experience as I had. I want them to know, thank you. I appreciate you for serving me. Even when and this is even a thing that I was told by one of my mentors, she's so classy, and and even as we would travel, and I was traveling with her a couple of years ago, and she told me, she said, Kirsten, every time you leave a hotel, or now it's corporate apartments because I'm not doing hotels right now, but she said, every time you leave a hotel, she said, you make sure you leave a tip and a thank you note, and you clean up that hotel and leave and take the sheets off the bed and make it easy for them to be able to just toss the stuff out and put all the trash together in one pile to where they can just easily gather it in, and make sure that that hotel is left in the condition similar to the way in which you received it. Not because they're not there to serve you, they are there to serve you, but it's simply because you need to always have the character that Jesus Christ carried. He had such a level of character that every time he left a trail of peace. He left a trail of integrity. He left a trail of grace. So we do the same. That hotel is just an example that every time I leave, I want the person coming behind me that will probably never know who I am to just have a thank you note, And I teach my kids the same thing. I had Joshua write a note as we were leaving San Antonio. Write a note, leave it and tell them thank you. And let's put a tip there for them because they're serving us and we have to have character. So, in with all of that and understanding, as you're walking into your territory, as you're walking in, be prepared. Be prepared for the days that everything is not beautiful and roses. Because just understand, God never promised it was going to be easy. He just promised it was going to be. So there's going to be days that it's easy. There's going to be days where you feel like you are barely breathing. And you got to be prepared and have your character built up for the days when it feels like that you're barely breathing, that on the high days that you've already got prepared, that you've stored up that you've stored up a good coping plan. Because this is one of the reasons, and I'll talk about this. This is one of the reasons why depression takes us out as hardcore as it does, because we don't have a plan in place. We don't have a plan in place that when depression comes, when the spirit of depression tries to come upon us, that we have a plan of how we're going to go about handling it. That immediately we think about ways that we can cope, that we have accountability partners, that we have people that we're naked and not ashamed with, that we can talk about, and knowing that they won't leave us and go talk about us. We need to have accountability partners. We need to have plans in place. If you have suffered from depression, you know that is one of the tactics that the enemy has used. I have suffered from depression, and I know that's one of the tactics that the enemy has used against me. But I also know my calling is great. I also know my territory is large because I asked that he would bless me indeed. I asked that he would enlarge my territory, and he has. He has done it. So now I'm saying, God, allow your hand to be with me at all times. And God is telling me, make sure you're prepared. Make sure you got a plan. Make sure you write yourself notes that you randomly find that give you encouragement. Because even when you can't have nobody else encourage you, what did David say? David said, I encourage myself. I put my chin up, champ. You got this. David encouraged himself after he made the mistake of having that baby with Bathsheba, after he made the mistake of even getting Uriah, Bathsheba's husband, killed. He put that man on the front line and got him killed intentionally, and told the army, draw back and leave him out there. He brutally had that man murdered. After all of the stuff that David was caught up in, he said, but God, I still serve you. He was born in pain. But we look at David as one of the fiercest warriors for God, right? David had to encourage himself. And there's going to be days when you can't come to a live broadcast. There's going to be days when you're going to have to sit down yourself and muster it up out of you, because all the answers are inside of you. There's going to be days where you're going to have to repeat the word of God for yourself to yourself. There's going to be days when you're going to have to remind yourself of the vision. Remind yourself of how it's coming. Remind yourself that God has the power, that I have the authority. So I am giving God my authority and I am accessing his power. That it's not my power. It's not by my might, but by his spirit that I'm able to conquer these things, that I'm able to keep it moving, that I'm able to go forth and do the things that God is calling me to do in business, in ministry, in the world, in our communities, in our everyday existence. We have to understand and we have to stay prepared. And we have to use wisdom, because the beautiful thing is, God says, he says, when you pray for wisdom, out of all thy getting, get wisdom, get understanding. The truth that you stand under is understanding. It's the truth, because the fact says today, today depression hit me. And it was so crazy. Everything is great. Where is it coming from? It's coming out the blue. Like, I was sitting down yesterday and it just came, and I was like, what is this? And that's when God began to teach me new coping techniques. He said, you go back and look in the faith chapter. Okay, I understand the people from the Bible feel a little old school to you, because I talk to God openly. I said, God, listen, they killing sheep and stuff. You know, David was killing lions. I don't physically plan on killing no lions because I don't want to chip my nails. So I don't physically plan on killing no lions. I'm not finna use a slingshot and a rock. And I hadn't seen no giant, like physically seen no giant. Okay. So I understand all this stuff is metaphorically, but I'm like, God, I need you to give me some examples that I can use right now. And that's when he started bringing people. He started bringing people to my mind. He started bringing people that I need to go look up, that I need to see, people like Eric Thompson or Thomas. Like E.T. That's what we call him, E.T. Eric Thomas. This man had all kind of obstacles, but he has reached levels of success that I dream about obtaining, that I am obtaining, and I can see him as an example. He is a faith example. He is a faith example because he chose to be transparent and talk about his story truthfully. I can see people like Napoleon Hill, even though he's dead and gone. It's more of a recent than David in the Bible. So I can see people like Napoleon Hill in his story and where he came from, but the wisdom that God gave him. Miles Monroe, sleeping on a dirt floor as a kid, decided at the age of 12 that he was going to be great. He made a decision at the age of 12, sleeping on a dirt floor and at his home, that he was going to be great. And he was, and he still is. So I can look at examples of other people, because God is not a respecter of person. What he did for them, he will do for you. What he has done for me, he will do for you. So even when you when you can't find an example around you of the things, that the major things that you're feeling like are so large that you're wanting God to do, find an example of when he did it with somebody else. Because that's putting yourself into an alignment, and celebrate their victory. I found myself reading about people yesterday, and I started to get excited for them. I mean, some of them are not even alive anymore, but I was excited, like, whew, they won. Whew, they won the case. Ooh, they won. Oh my God, they received victory. It worked out for them. Everything worked out for them. Everything's working out for me, because God is no respecter of person. So in wrapping up today, create a plan for the days that is hard. Be gentle on yourself on those days. Create a plan of love for yourself on those days that is hard, on the days that you rocking it out, on the days where it's like, God, wait a minute, you promised me this was going to happen like this, and it ain't happened yet. On those days, on the days when the spirit of depression tries to sit on you like a heavy cloud, have a plan in place of how you're going to attack it, and make the plan while everything is good. Make the plan beforehand. Make the plan. Be prepared beforehand. Be prepared before it happens. Be ready to rock it out before it happens. So when it happens, you're going to be like, oh, I had a plan. I got a plan for this. I got a plan for this, because I planned whenever I was feeling great for the day that I wasn't. And I can call my accountability partner. I can listen. I'm going to listen to this music. I'm going to read this reminder that I can't quit. I'm going to read this scripture that reminds me that I'm more than a conqueror. I'm not just a conqueror. See, a conqueror is enough. I am more than a conqueror. I am more than enough because his grace is sufficient. His grace is enough. I am more than a conqueror. I am more than enough. I have more than enough. I have more than enough assets. I have more than enough abilities to make it. I have more than enough to just not make it, but thrive. My newest saying, and I don't mind sharing. Y'all can share it with me. My newest saying is the sky is the minimum, but the heavenlies is the standard. So the sky, people say the sky is the limit. No, the sky is the minimum for me. The sky is the minimum. And the heavenlies is my standard because God said that it's heavenlies. There's multiple levels of heaven and the universe is operating in one of them. And I am designed to be served by the universe. So the sky is my minimum and the heavenlies is my standard. That's where I'm going. I'm going to live as Eden, as heaven on earth. Man, that's everything to me. That's just everything. That's everything. That's alignment. That's alignment. That's understanding that God said, it is finished. Jesus said, it is finished. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth, in me, as it is in heaven. Allow your kingdom to have a seat inside of me, God. Enlarge my territory. Allow your hand to be with me. Allow your kingdom to have a seat inside of me. Allow your kingdom to have a seat inside of my life, inside of my territory. Allow every time I enter a room that the presence and the fragrance of the kingdom enters with me, that it's no question of royalty. I don't have to explain who I am anymore. I'm done with the explanation of explaining because I understand I'm kingdom. I am thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth, in me, as it is in heaven. In me, as it is in heaven. Heaven is the standard. And we're not just talking about after we die. You need to please go after you get off this broadcast. If you have time today or when you have time, go to YouTube and listen to Miles Monroe talk about heaven and why it's not a matter of us just focusing on after we die. In earth as it is in heaven. In earth, in me as it is in heaven. Heaven is the standard. Heaven is the minimum. Heaven is the standard. Heaven is the standard. Man, that's good stuff. I don't know how to scroll down to look for questions. And last time I tried to, I accidentally, but I think I accidentally hung up things.
There you go.
Oh, I'm up. Okay, I wanted to respond to comments if anybody has any. If anybody has any questions or anything you want me to talk about, please go ahead and put it on there. I choose obedience. Yes, me too. Me too. I'm not gonna. Oh, it stopped. I'm nervous. I don't want to do something. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it. Well, you guys, I absolutely adore you. I adore you. I adore the territory that's attached to your life. I'm excited. I am excited to see all the things that God is doing. God is preparing us to walk in our territory. He is preparing us to walk in our territory. He's expanded it at our request, and He's preparing us to walk in it. Let's be ready. Let's be ready to honor His name. Let's be ready to carry His glory, to carry His weight, to carry His glory, to choose obedience, even when it's outside of the norm. We're not going to be like everybody else, and that's cool. Be comfortable being uncomfortable, because you're not going to be like everybody else, and that is cool. You don't have to rock it out like everybody else. It's actually an insult to God when you try to mimic somebody else versus mimicking Him. So mimic God, and He lives on the inside of you. Allow Him to be the example of what you rock out. Allow Him to be the example. So you guys have a very blessed Wednesday. I will see you again on Monday. Remember, we don't do the live on Thursday, Friday. Everybody that has the ability to attend, please come to the MLM Masterclass. You are going to walk away with so much information that you can take and immediately go and use. I'm talking about immediate information. The information that's valuable. You don't want to miss it. You just don't want to miss it. We're finna go through some things that I listen. It would have been beneficial to have that earlier on. I'm glad I got it when I got it. But it's just beautiful how God will align and how He is aligning. So come join us for the MLM Masterclass on Saturday. You can sign up for it today. I think the link is already in the comment section here. And guys, also, I still do 1 hour free consultations. If you have a business and you need to have a 1 hour free consultation, I do that. I will say, when you come for that 1 hour, when you sign up for that 1 hour, already have your 3 questions ready. Know exactly what you want to ask, because I'm going to do my best to answer them. And I ask for them, I ask for them ahead of time. So if there's something I don't know the answer to, I can refer you to somebody that does. So I do that 1 hour consultation just as someone a seed. So if you have a business and you want to be able to do a 1 hour consultation, you can request it on my website. It's www.kirstenelise.com. There's a contact page on there, and you can just say that you want the 1 hour consultation, and we'll get you scheduled for that. And then also come to the MLM on Saturday. We'll be open to answer questions during that time. I'm just excited. I'm excited about all the things that God is doing. So you guys have a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday. Love you.